I'll say something that might surprise you. Many primary care clinicians are leaving $50,000 to $150,000 a year on the table, not because they're doing less work, but because of how the work is structured. And the hardest part, most of them don't even realize that is happening every day. If you're in primary care, you already know this reality. You're seeing patients after patients, managing multiple chronic conditions, adjusting medications, coordinating care, answering phone messages. You're doing complex, meaningful work every day. But at the end of it, you feel exhausted, rushed, and somehow still underrewarded. The biggest mistake many physicians and other clinicians make is this. They believe the solution is to see more patients. So they push harder. They increase volume, shorten visits, squeeze in more patients every day. But here's what actually happens. When visits become rushed, important details get missed. Complexity is not fully captured. Documentation doesn't reflect the real work. Opportunities to address multiple conditions are lost. So even though you're doing more, you're capturing less. You're doing high-value work inside a low-value structure. And that is why working harder often does not fix this problem. It actually makes it worse. Because the faster you go, the more value slips through. I learned this the hard way years ago. I was seeing over 22 patients a day, working long hours, doing everything I was trained to do. And yet something didn't feel right. I was working harder every year, but my life was not improving. And then I asked different questions. Not how can I work more, but how can I work differently? So I started focusing on how I structured my visits, how I documented my work, how I addressed multiple issues properly, how I used the time I already had much better than before. And something unexpected happened. I reduced my schedule. I started seeing fewer patients a day, only 16 patients a day, one every 30 minutes. I worked fewer days, seeing patients only 3 days a week, and my income went up instead of going down. But more importantly, I stopped feeling like I was constantly behind. I had time to think, time to connect with patients, time to actually enjoy medicine again. Because here is the truth. Primary care is not low value, it's often understructured. And once you understand that, everything changes. Success is no longer about how many patients you see, how many hours you work every day. It becomes about how effectively you see and you use your time, how fully your work is captured, how intentionally your practice is designed. And I know what you're thinking. This sounds good, but would it work for me? That's a very real question, because every practice is different, every schedule is different, every situation is different. And that's exactly where most of physicians and other clinicians are right now. Not trying to make a big change, just trying to understand. What would this look like in my situation? If you've been feeling like you're working too hard for results you're getting, you don't have to figure this out alone. If it helps, I'm happy to look at your current setup with you and just talk it through. No pressure, no decisions, just clarity. Because sometimes the difference between burnout and balance is not how hard you work, but how your work is designed. So feel free to look at the links below and all the information in order to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help. I wish you a wonderful success in your primary care career.